Aja. I help parents and teachers just like you make teaching as simple, fun, and strategic as possible. And today, you guys, I have a huge treat. So today I am joined with Charlotte. She is a full-time working mom, and she has a phenomenal story of how she doubled her daughter's growth in simply 6 months. So we are going to hear all about her journey, what she did in order to get such high growth, and exactly what it was like as a full-time working mom. Thank you for being here and joining us here on Everything Aja. So start off by just telling the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Charlotte. As Aja said, I am a proud mother of 2. I have a teenage daughter who is 15, and I have a younger one who is 4, who will be the subject of what I talk about today. And a loving husband who was supportive and a part of this process as well. I do work full-time as an attorney. Cook, clean, all those good things that all us moms generally have to do. So busy, busy, busy.
So there's nothing extraordinary about you as far as you do the same daily things that every other mom does. Is that safe to say?
I would say that it's very safe to say.
So if she can do it, you guys can do it too. So just to let you guys are aware of exactly how I found Charlotte. She is one of my clients in the Teaching by Design program. So we worked with each other last year, and I was just so incredibly amazed at her journey. But before we really dive into her journey, I want you to explain to them exactly what you were going through before working with me.
I wanted to have my child, which is my 4-year-old, have a love of reading. And I wanted to sit down with her and read books, but she was not interested. She did not like to do it. We would, she was in pre-K 3 at the time, and it just seemed like she wasn't really advancing, at least from what I could tell. So I wanted to help her along her educational journey. It just seemed like what I was doing at home wasn't working, and I would have to rely more on her pre-K, which was now not meeting in person. So we had to come up with alternatives.
As of the rest of the world, really. I was about to say the rest of the world. All right, so you started off just like, it sounds like most parents. You're starting to see things that typically only teachers would see in the classroom.
Right.
And you wanted to take that extra step with your daughter.
Yes.
All right, so explain exactly what you did to see such high academic growth, because you literally doubled her scores. Like, completely doubled her scores. So share to them exactly what were some of like the main things that you did that you know really helped her.
So I would say the first thing is coming up with a plan, and a realistic plan that I could implement. And that meant, you know, figuring out a time of day, figuring out where to do it, figuring out what to do, which was the learning plan, and what to work on. And also, I know for me, the biggest thing was learning that I had to repeat things. It wasn't as simple as, oh, I taught you this today, so why don't you know it 2 days later? That was a big part of what I don't think as parents we're taught from the educators. And so it started to click, okay, just some reviews. And that truly helped with a plan in place that I could actually implement with not a whole lot of time, because as we said, we're really busy, but the time we were able to carve and put into that plan really helped her progression.
Okay, and so as you were implementing this entire plan, were you still working full-time?
Yes, very much so.
So you were still working full-time and teaching her with just a little bit of time each and every day, and you were able to see such a high growth rate.
Yes, very much so.
So tell us a little bit about how your daughter was, like how she was during that time. Was she interested in learning? Would she sit down and listen? Like, was she excited about it? How was her behavior?
So my daughter is very active, probably like most children. So I would say she wasn't interested in the learning part of it, but once I made it fun for her, once I made it more active, one of the big things I learned about her through this process is she's a kinesthetic learner. So she learns by doing versus just by listening or by, you know, seeing something. So that meant the activities that I did do with her, to make them effective, I had to make sure she was doing something. So once those happened, she came around, but just the first, let's sit down and go over ABCs. Let's sit down and just go over. The sitting down, just roll going through things did not work for her. She was not interested. She did everything to rebel against it, even story time. She wanted to get up, make animal sounds instead of reading the book.
Sounds like you had a lot of what we call wins, but a lot of highlights throughout your journey. So what were some of the biggest highlights that you want to share?
So what I thought was one of the biggest things was I could not get my child to sit down and read with me. And then we got to a point where she would remind me, Mommy, it's story time. It was a part of her routine. And so she would go pick out the book and she wanted story time. Another really, really big highlight, even though she wasn't reading yet, she got that book, Brown Bear, and I didn't know that she could do it, but she just opened up the book, and even though she didn't read the words, she knew the story. So she just kept reading the story, and I was just like, wow. So you could just see like the light bulbs going off and the excitement. As well as when we started doing like the learning boards or the actual like physical binder activities, she would go grab them and want to do them. So it was not like pulling teeth, she wanted to do them.
So not only did you see the growth on paper, but you also saw the growth within her.
Oh, definitely. It was like night and day.
And that, I feel like, is one of the biggest things that it can't be measured. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that it really impacts who she's going to be in the future.
Yes.
Because you've now instilled the love for learning at such an early age, she's going to literally carry it on.
Yes.
For her entire life, really.
Yes. Let's hope.
So I want to talk, not to get in the negative too much, but I wanted to go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. And at the beginning, you know, when we first did our assessment, we learned that your daughter was in the 18th percentile, which mm-hmm. means she was only ahead of 18% of other kids her age. Mm-hmm. How did that make you feel as her mom? Oh my goodness, I felt guilt. I felt like, oh my gosh, I must be letting my child down. What didn't I do? I thought you were smart. I had a lot of like guilty feelings. I think we all have like that mom guilt or parent guilt. Like, what did I do wrong, or what could I have been doing better? So I think it helped motivate me to know that now I have tools, now I can do something about it, that I've identified these are things that we need to be working on. Good, and I like how you turned something negative and turned it into a positive. Because I feel like so many of us are going through that, you know, with our kids, especially now that we've had virtual learning for about 2 years. Yes. And with virtual learning, there is a learning gap. I mean, there was a learning gap before the pandemic happened. It's been expected that it's really gonna like almost double. Oh wow. I really like how you took that negative number and you didn't let the number take you. So once you saw that her results literally doubled, because I told her, you guys, I was like, don't take the test until 6 months. Like, allow her to have that growth. And I didn't even fan on that she was just gonna literally just go skyrocket, because I know that her entire personality just blossomed. The more you implemented learning, the more she was ready to learn. Yes. So how did you feel as her mom on the other side once you saw her results and just knew that everything you were doing was really paying off? Oh, it felt really great. I felt accomplished as far as she was concerned, because it was basically allowing her to reach her potential, and that was very important to me. You know, just even the time we spent together, I felt was more quality versus me being frustrated. You don't want to do this.
it was learning. I actually learned a lot about her, and hopefully she was like, oh, mommy's a little bit more fun these days. Because I was actually paying attention to her, how she learned. And again, I learned so much myself. So I will say that, and it has helped me even now that she's back in school. It has helped me deal with her learning now that it's not just me. Now that she has a teacher or teachers, and I still have to be a part of that system.
Go ahead and just explain what is it like now that she is back to school? What does your routine look like now that she is back, you know, having a school day in person? Like, how does that affect your homeschooling environment?
Well, I get much more work done at home now, but what happens is it's definitely still a routine. There's still a plan. It's just that it had to shift a little bit. So, of course, you know, every kid, when they get home from school, they have their routine. We might go over her sight words, but we play a game. See, I don't just use the flashcards. I might put them on the bucket and she has to throw the ball in the bucket. Or I throw them all over the floor and she has to jump on the word that I say. So I know to take out that period of time. And it necessarily isn't every day that we do these things. So we try to do it at least twice a week, 3 times a week. It's just a part of what she's normally used to doing. So she knows there'll be some activity at home, and then sometimes when there's not, she might be a little upset. Part of the planning that we did previously helps us now with the electronics, because I'm assuming most kids, if you're like my kid, my kid, she's on an iPad, she's on a tablet, she's on something. So I've used some educational tools, and it surprises me and shocks me when she'll pull up her own iPad instead of just going to YouTube. She might go to one of those programs and actually do some of the work. And so, of course, those moments I just step back and let it happen.
Yes. And I'm really glad, because you've kind of seen some of the benefits that I've experienced with my own daughter, which is the bonding time that it actually creates.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a benefit that I know I don't talk about that much, but it really is a benefit. It creates that quality time, and they see you as their teacher, and they're not just see the teacher as a teacher, but also mommy as their teacher. So that creates a whole different dynamic to your relationship with her. So I love that. Talk to other moms out there that may be experiencing what you felt at the beginning. They know their child is struggling, but they just don't know how to help them, how to get started. Just what would you say to that mom? What would you say to the you this time last year?
Help is out there. What I would say is try not to beat yourself up, because I know a lot of us, you know, especially you want your child, we love our children. We want them to do well. We want them to be successful. First, take away the guilt and come up with a plan. I had no idea as a mom that there were just so much out there, and it was like at the click of a button. Before this, I never would thought that I'd be at home laminating anything. I do not consider myself creative, but this has pulled out a creative side of me. And what I would say to you is, just don't give up. Even when you're in it, sometimes it's gonna be like, oh my God, like we've been going over this same letter or this same lesson 3, 4, 5 times. I promise you, the minute you turn away, you look away, your child will come up to you and just start saying it, and you're gonna be like, well, what? It's almost like that magic that happens. So don't, even when you're in your process, you're planning, you're doing it, don't get frustrated, because it always seems like it's not working, and then everything just kind of clicks into place.
Yes, I mean, in the middle of that, I want to like stand up and do something. Yes, and so many people quit right before that light bulb goes off. Yes. And so I'm glad you were able to see the light bulb go off, because that's what will keep you going.
Yes, it will. So the wins.
The wins, yes. The wins are what keeps you going. If you are interested in also hearing more about the Teaching by Design program, I have the link down below in the description, so make sure you check it out so that you too can have the same wins and the same journey that you had. If you want to find out more about just a little bit of what she was talking about as far as the actual learning environment, then you need to watch this video where I show you exactly how I just transformed my entire house for my daughter's learning environment. So make sure you check that video.